right into Jared's sternum, it's quite uncomfortable. I can push his head, pull on the elbow, squeeze everything together, and make it super nasty if I want to. But the thing that holds him here is actually that I've got this elbow. If I don't have Jared's elbow and it's on the mat, this is just a headlock, and he can then rotate and take my back, which is that fear that people had in jiu-jitsu when this position first became known. The fact that I am on his elbow and I am controlling that elbow is what keeps him underneath me. Once I'm controlling this, it doesn't matter if he turns away from me, I can just follow him. And he can roll as much as he wants over, it doesn't matter. I've got him, right? So this sucks for Jared, and Jared wants to get out. So I think what we'll do actually, just to start, is I'll get everyone to get the position first, just so we're all aware of how to hold it on somebody, how it feels to have it. So here's what we're going to do with your partners. Number one, we're just going to have our partner in a nice flat side control position. Is the camera over?
I think so.
Amazing. Awesome. So, partner's nice and flat. What we're going to do is the far arm is going to come and get around the head, right? Then, in a normal side control position, you've got your hips facing down, right? When you go to a scarf hold, what you're doing is you're actually switching your hips in the other direction. So your legs kind of switch directions, yeah? Here, here. So that's what you do to get the position. You've got the head, and then you switch your hips out, and then your right side leg, if you're on this side, is going to kick up, so you're nice and deep into the armpit. And you just stack this leg in front of you. Doing this stops Jared from rolling me, so if he bucks forward and I don't have a leg, I can be rolled forward. Putting a leg there stops that from happening. Nice and easy. So, going over those points again, you get the head, the hips switch outwards and into the armpit. Leg comes forward, and then the free hand is just on the elbow nice and tight, pulling back. Do we want to give that a go real quick? Good.
Sorry.
I'll show you, and I'll show you. You know how to get scarves, I'll show you too. How to make it a better scarf. How to make it really nasty. Now you can get it. Let's make it disgusting. So when Jared is completely flat, it's much nastier. Jared can try and get on his side a little bit, and that sort of distributes the pressure more onto his shoulder and onto his ribs, which is more manageable for him to be underneath. He can also sort of shoot his shoulder up into his neck, and that makes it more manageable as well. So when you're in scarf, first of all, you want to make sure you flatten them out, right? Now when you feel the pressure, it's in your ribs going straight into his sternum. You can put that lower down into his stomach, but then the problem is that you open more space up here. It can be nastier in the stomach, it can be really nasty in the stomach, but you need to make sure you're controlling this. So maybe if you enter with an underhook, say off of a takedown, sometimes you can enter with an overhook, and then you can just crush him back, right? I'm not even putting nearly as much pressure as I can, I'm just lifting a little bit and it already sucks. So that's the first thing I would consider if you want to make this really nasty, right? You are flattening them out. They're going to try and roll away from you, you're just going to keep on pulling them back, right? The second thing is that you really want to be pulling on the elbow. So I'm not just holding it. Hey! We're just doing like little details. How did you guys go get in that position?
I just kind of put myself in it. I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do.
Oh, sweet. Well, then come and join and look at the extra stuff. This is how you make it super nasty. How did you go? Did you get the position all right?
We haven't swapped that yet.
Oh.
Leave that one first.
Go swap over first, so you've both got the position. And then if we've got time, we'll go over the extra stuff. Yeah, so first thing is that they're flat. The second thing is that you're not just holding the elbow back, you're actually reaching down. And I'm using my whole, like my lats, right? It's almost like a deadlift. I'm grabbing and I'm pulling back. And so now I'm facing sort of upwards, you know. You get to scarf hold, if you're looking where my hips are going, I'm sort of facing in this direction. Pull, and I'm facing upwards.
And do you have any weight on your butt right now, or are you sitting on
Right now, I'm sort of 50-50. I've got a little bit of weight here, a little bit of weight into Jared.
Yeah.
That's the third thing. The third thing, sorry, Jared, is that you pull and then you drive.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, those three things.
So that overhook one you did, that's pretty cool. Does that really adds torque to it?
Yeah, it's nasty, and you get that on any overhook takedown you get. You've
Just
got
hold it. You're saying hold it
already.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'll often get it and then I'll let go of it because it's just so mean to your training partners, right?
Oh, actually nice.
But yeah, give that one a quick go.
Yep.
Turning them, making them flat, pulling on the elbow, and actually driving into them so your butt's off the ground. And then I'll switch to
Good job, man.
guys and give them a bit of a room. How much you guys got with that? I'm just splitting it because you guys know the basic shit already. Got position?
Yeah.
Position. You can kind of feel why I was strong here.
Yeah, stuff done.
So you should have to get out of it. Ross, what the heck is yours? What do you have?
I guess the question we did have is more so that we could sit there and just find a position. I guess the question is how do we like transition to that position from another different spot?
Awesome position. Awesome question. Cool. So let's say I'm going from just a regular side control position. I've got Ross. Okay. Side control. So same with side control. The thing about this is that I've got his underhook right. I'm right deep in the armpit. If I wanted to go from here straight into scarf, for example, all I would need to do is I can switch my hips. Now you see that I'm already deep in the underhook with my hips. So one simple motion here, and then my right side leg kicks through. And now this is kind of a low scarf already. You can set up a scarf position with both arms. But if you didn't want that, I'm going to control the head and just pin my weight on my partner a little bit, and then this arm is going to come through, switching around, and then everything sort of twists outwards. So if you do it quite smooth, really what you're doing is you're just turning your hips outwards and making sure that you don't give away a lot of space while you do that, right? Like if I try and do it and I just kind of step over, there's just way too much space to escape.
Yeah.
So what you're doing is you're switching, and watch what my arms do, and watch how my arms and the motion of my hips is sort of in line with each other, right? Passing the arm, switching, everything turns outwards. Does that make sense? Yeah. Cool. Give that a shot real quick. Thanks, man. Not doing anything to get their arms off, because they can just go wherever you go, and they've kind of got more reach than you at that point. So let's do the other two now. As the person in top scaffold, it is a common misconception that you want to keep your head high and sort of posture up like this. I think it's easy to understand why. You know, if you keep good posture, typically this means you're in a better position. It's the opposite in scaffold. In scaffold, Jarrah actually wants to keep his ear pretty close to my ear. And the reason for this is that if Jarrah is postured up like this, I've got two hands here. I can push on him, push on the face. I usually go for the neck, push, get a leg over and kick him down again. And this one sucks. You think you're doing really good, and suddenly you get a leg in the face. So we're here and scarf, push, get my legs up, and down. This one's pretty easy as well. Try not to just straight up kick him in the face, because that's kind of what you're doing. So try to just be nice about it. And yeah, that one you would use if they are posturing up really high like that. So even what you can do, if they're not expecting it, is you can make them think that you want their head low like this, and you can be pulling down on them, and that's going to make him resist. And as he resists, you can push and go. You don't need to get him down in one single motion either. If he resists, it's kind of alright, because once I've got this leg here, like what's he going to do? How's he going to get his head back? Right now I'm reinforcing it by grabbing it with my hand, right? It's really difficult for him to get his head back. Now it's a fight, but I'm already winning. Alright, push him down. Get this arm still. Come on. How does that sound? Is it kind of alright? That's number 3. Number 4, this is the 101. This is the one they usually teach, and this one is a roll. So we know that I can't roll Jarrah forwards because he's got his leg there, right? Can't roll him that way because it doesn't make any sense, he's got a leg there. Jarrah has no post in this direction. So what I can do is I can get that body lock again, right around the floating ribs. I'm going to get my feet and walk them up to Jarrah's butt, right? If we're looking at where I can sort of throw my weight now, if these legs come up, I'm going going to be shooting force in this direction, right? Jared doesn't have any posts to prevent me from doing that. So if I do that, and I plant my feet, look up, and throw my weight back, you just go straight over. And you end up here. Also with an arm, you're also able to switch to your own scarf if you want. But I'm not paying attention. Jared gets a body lock, plants his feet, and he rolls in. Gets his own scarf off. And now he's not paying attention, so I body lock, plant my feet, I roll in. So this one's cool. I like all of these, they're all cool. I love this stuff. But let's go over the specific details for that one. So here, scarf hold sucks, getting crushed, Jared's heavy, body lock. My legs walk up to his butt. You guys probably remember the buck and roll escape. From that, it's the same sort of thing where I'm lifting my hips up, right? So I body lock, plant my legs, look up, and I roll. Nice and easy. One more little point is that it's important that he does not follow you with his legs. Because if I'm trying to roll in this direction, well, that's exactly what the legs are doing. I'm never going to get it. So your opponent may kind of follow you and walk around with the sock that you have. And if that's the case, it's going to be very difficult to roll. So just be aware of where that lead leg is sort of sitting. How does that sound? Pretty good? You guys alright with those two? Yeah. So pushing on the head, leg comes over, kicking down, and body lock, legs come to the butt, and roll. After I teach like the basic speech shit, I'm going to go over how to not let them do that.
Cool, because I have to do it all the time.
But yeah, in terms of weight distribution, like I don't have a solid answer to this yet. I find that I get the best response out of not straight sternum, but sort of more on ribs, like kind of hereish. If you're low, stomach is great. So I would say those two areas. But you can also get really high and just make it horrible. Like if I continue to switch my hips the second time, now I'm on the head. I can bring down and turn the head if I want, and just crush like this. This is a high scarf position. And now it's not about the fact that I'm putting a lot of weight through, it's about the fact that his head's being crushed and his arm's being crushed. So that's one thing to consider as well. You can go really high, go really low, where I'm now bringing the head up and I'm more on the stomach. If he starts doing shit to get me in this direction, I can come here and push into the ribs. And if he's trying to get the elbow out, that's when you just pull tight on the elbow and make everything really secure. Does that sort of help? Yeah. It's a lockdown position, but there are a lot of little details. Yep. How'd you guys go with that? Amazing. Let's move on to some escapes. Jared, what do you get that? So it sucks. The underneath. But there are 4 really good escapes that you will be able to get on people and will not die underneath the scarf. You will survive. So, Jared's doing it. A lot of getting out of scarf is feeling what their reaction is going to be and what they're feeding you. And I guess that's kind of with all positions, but I'm going to restate it here. Feel what they're feeding you and react off of that. So right now, if this was how Jared was holding me, I know that there is a lot of space between my shoulder and his leg, right? What that means is that if I can quickly shoot my weight in like a clockwise direction, I can get my elbow to the mat, right? So I can shoot my weight down like this. Once your elbow is on the mat, if they don't get that elbow back, you're out. Like you've escaped. Because all I need to do then is get a body lock and roll to the back. Right? So that's the first one. And it might be a little bit difficult to see, but there is a big space right here between my shoulder and Jared's leg. This is how I know that I can get out of here, right? If Jared was really tight with it, he closes that space, he might even grab his own leg to lock it down. There's no way I'm getting that elbow out now, right? But if it was more loose, you can see the difference there, right? So it's really easy. I'm gonna turn my hips back down to the mat, and I'm gonna get my elbow down and get this body lock here. And then it doesn't matter if he fights, it's just a headlock escape. So that's the first one. I'm going to give you 2 at a time because there is 4 and they're all pretty easy. It's just you want to be aware of them. So the second one, a pretty common defense that people use when they're underneath a scarf is that they'll lock their hands and they'll just get sort of like a body lock already, right? Jared doesn't want this. Jared wants to break these arms. So he's going to pull his arm back at the wrist. Now look where Jared's elbow is right now, right? Look how much range I have on this arm at the back. Look how I can grab Jared's forearm and suddenly he can't pull it back. And I'm controlling this. It's like a Kimura grip, it's annoying, right? And suddenly he's made this big mistake where I'm controlling his arm and by extension I'm controlling his ability to come forwards or come back. So what you do is you grab this when you have the opportunity, you pull him down and you get a leg. It doesn't really matter which one, but I find that the right leg is a lot more mobile for this. And you can even pass the arm back. So now I've locked his arm back, right? You can put your hand in front of the face if you want, and you can kick him down. How cool is that?
That's super cool.
So not only is he out, but you've got this arm right here. And if you're like an armbar technician, you can maybe set some shit up. I'm not. Usually if I hit this, I would just sort of switch and try and get it back or something, right? So if I do that one more time, I've got my body lock. Jared tries to grab on my wrists. I shoot my arm through, and I'm just blocking or getting a grip. You can't really get out of this because I'm controlling the front of his shoulder, right? Once I've got this, leg comes up, feed it through, kick down. It's important that when you do that, like, move real quick, what you're actually doing is you're kicking down, right? Because you need to build a little bit of momentum for it. So you kick and you roll up. How does that sound? So going over that first one again, I see that Jared's left me a little bit of space. Super simple. I just switch my hips down, elbows to the mat, get my body lock, and I can then roll around until my head is out. The second one, start with the body lock. Jared reaches back, shoot my arm through, leg comes up, feed the hand, and kick down. Check it out. Awesome. You guys want to give that one a shot? Hey.
What happens if they ignore the body lock?
If they ignore the body lock, then they're just beating your escape, and then it's like another level that you're building up. So these escapes, these are really good escapes, and these escapes work. But when your opponent learns how you like to escape, they're gonna beat that. So if Jared and I switch real quick, I know that people are going for that one when I have them in my scarf. So how I would choose instead to get an arm if I wanted to is to lead with my elbow. So instead of reaching back like this and getting swept, I'm going to grind and keep it across my body. Because there's no space here now. He can try all day, but he's not going to get in there, right? And then I can break it, and then I can feed it through. But this is because I sort of know that that's coming. A lot of people won't know it's coming. A lot of people will be defending other stuff. So maybe Jared goes for that elbow escape, and then I try and reach to grab it, and now Jared's suddenly got the space. So he's fed me something, and I fell for it, and then he's gotten something else. And I suppose learning that stuff is just like the level 2.
Yeah, you make one thing to get the other. Yeah.
Exactly. Cool. Do you guys want to give those two a shot real quick? Cool.